I on the spot I construct some exercise and give them also.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Yes, strictly following a textbook could be a bit difficult.
Sometimes you have to go along with the students' interests also. No, the prescribed
True,
textbook
ma'am. True
may
that.
not be suitable to our students.
Very
I
true.
tried Aisha Vishwamohan's. Some exercises are very interesting for
Okay,
gifted
ma'am.
learners, but for
Okay, ma'am.
those who do not read much,
Okay,
they
okay.
find it tough. I don't know about your students, but in my case,
We also have a mixture, ma'am. It's not
yeah.
like most people are under the misconception that PAG has the best. Not necessarily always. We also have a mix, Tamil medium students, metric
Yes,
students, CBSE.
yes.
So there
And
is no one
the
size fits all
topic should be of
textbook that can.
interest to them and current
True.
relevance to them. So on the spot, I suddenly change and construct something and ask them to do it, or resume writing, cover letter, all that we have. No, I
Yes, ma'am.
construct
Yes,
on
ma'am.
my own and ask them to write.
Okay, that's nice, ma'am.
That I design an advertisement and tell them you answer this for this
Okay, okay, ma'am.
answer. So
All right, ma'am. Nice to know that.
been doing.
You're improvising a lot, it looks
Yeah,
like.
it's on the spot. That's what I do. Look at the feedback from the students. Look at the heterogeneous mixture they are from. But they are very smart these days. Writing is the problem. Speaking is
Writing,
excellent.
that's
Girls
blame it
yeah,
on technology, ma'am. You're compromising so
yeah.
much on compromising
Yes,
so much on
I told
spellings
them to
and
Kalpana again and again. I will not accept this GUD for good morning. You have to,
compromising so
yeah,
much on
she'll,
compromising
yes.
so much on
I
spellings
told them to
and
Kalpana again and again. I will not
true. And
accept this
also
GUD.
even their essays, this because
Yes,
BCO is that creeps in compromising so much
yes,
on spellings
yes.
and
Again and again, I will not
true. And
accept this
also
GUD.
even their
I will not
essays,
accept
this
the
because
GUD.
BCO is
First
that
they have to
creeps in
attest.
true, ma'am. They become so habituated to it. True, and
Yes.
also even their
I will not
essays,
accept
this
the
because
GUD.
BCO is
First they
that
have to
creeps in. True,
attest.
ma'am. True, ma'am. We
Yes.
should not be surprised it happens. True, and
Yes.
also even their
I will not
essays,
accept
this
the
because
GUD.
BCO is
First they
that
have to
creeps in. True,
attest.
ma'am.
Mekala, when are we starting, Mekala?
Yes, ma'am, we can, ma'am. Students are entering, ma'am. 2 minutes, we will start the thing, ma'am.
Yeah, we have 81.
Yeah, 80 plus. So we can start with the introduction and
Yes, ma'am, yes. Casey, ma'am, shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
yes.
Right. My dears, I hope you have received all the invitations and you are here. I'm so happy for that. So, as usual, we have the official session of inaugurating and all. We will get into that. So, I now request Pooja. Pooja, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Shall we start, Pooja?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, as usual, first we are supposed to get the blessings from our Almighty, so that I now request Vasuntra to go for the prayer song. Please, Vasuntra.
எனக்கு வேண்டும் வரங்களை இசைப்பேன் கேளாய் கணபதி எனக்கு வேண்டும் வரங்களை இசைப்பேன் கேளாய் கணபதி மனதிற் சலனம் இல்லாமல் மதியில் இருளே தோன்றாமல் மனதிற் சலனம் இல்லாமல் மதியில் இருளே தோன்றாமல் நினைக்கும் பொழுது நின் மௌன நிலை வந்திட நீ செயல் வேண்டும் நினைக்கும் பொழுது நின் மௌன நிலை வந்திட நீ செயல் வேண்டும் கனக்கும் செல்வம் 100 வயது இவையும் தரணி கடவாயே கனக்கும் செல்வம் 100 வயது இவையும் தரணி கடவாயே எனக்கு வேண்டும் வரங்களை இசைப்பேன் கேளாய் கணபதி.
Thank you, Pooja. I'm sorry, thank you, Vasantara. Pooja?
A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. We are happy that the Literary Society Campus 2 has organized a special lecture on the topic towards fluent and coherent spoken English. Dr. Kalpana R., Professor of English, PhD College of Technology, has kindly consented to be the speaker of the day. I deem it a privilege in welcoming all of you, our Dynamic Director, School of Engineering, Professor K. N. Raja Rao sir, our beloved Dean, School of Engineering, Dr. S. Margathan Madam, and other highly respected professors, heads of departments, and various faculty members. I also take the pleasure in welcoming our speaker, Dr. R. Kalpana, Professor of English, PhD College of Technology. We are happy to have you with us today, ma'am. Also, I would like to welcome all the students who are here to participate actively. I once again welcome everyone from the bottom of my heart. Now I call upon Kavya of first year to introduce the chief guest.
I am profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day, Dr. Kalpana, Professor of English, PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore. She is having 22 years of teaching experience and completed her PhD in the year 2011. She is a university gold medalist and first rank holder in ME. She is interested in the field of academic writing, three-way method of teaching. She is expertise in ELT, language testing and assessment, task-based teaching. Her areas of interest in research are English language teaching, language testing and assessment, task-based language teaching called educational technology. She has published 15 papers in international and national journals and published 5 books. She has attended as well as organized so many conferences, seminars and workshops to update her knowledge. Under her supervision, a PhD candidate is doing her research and she is the principal investigator of the UGC-sponsored research project. Our speaker has awarded by her own institution as an Outstanding Industry Institute Interaction Award in the year 2019. She has also awarded by the British Council Division as a British Council First Time Workshop Presenter Award in the year 2001. Thus, without
Yes, Kavya, unmute yourself and continue.
Yes, ma'am. I am profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day, Dr. Kalpana, Professor of English, PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore. She is having 22 years of teaching experience and completed her PhD in the year 2011. She is a university gold medalist and first rank holder in ME. She is interested in the field of academic writing, playway method of teaching. She is expertise in ELT, language testing and assessment, task-based teaching. Her areas of interest in research are English language teaching, language testing and assessment, task-based language teaching called educational technology. She has published 15 papers in international and national journals and published 5 books. She has attended as well as organized so many conferences, seminars, and workshops to update her knowledge. Under her supervision, a PhD candidate is doing her research and she is the principal investigator of the UGC-sponsored research project. Our speaker has awarded by her own institution as an Outstanding Industry Institute Interaction Award in the year 2019. She has also awarded by the British Council Division as a British Council First Time Workshop Presenter Award in the year 2001. Thus, without wasting any time, I would like to call upon Dr. Kalpana ma'am to facilitate our students towards fluent and coherent spoken English. Please, ma'am.
Excuse me,
Thank
ma'am.
you for your. Yes,
Excuse
ma'am.
me, ma'am. Our school director of engineering is joined with us, ma'am. I'd like to welcome
Okay.
our director to the special lecture, sir. A few words, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, shall we continue, sir?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, forum is yours. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Very good afternoon to all staff members, the director, School of Engineering, the head department of English, and my faculty colleagues, and of course, my dear students. Well, thank you for the very kind welcome and the warm words given, and I hope I live up to that. I've tweaked the title a bit, and I've just brought in this component of CEFR along with our progress in towards fluent, coherent spoken English. Now, when someone asks us the question, how good is someone's language? Let's say, how good is my classmate's language, or how good is your friend's language? We oftentimes end up saying good, okay, fantastic, or pathetic, But all these could be very subjective. We assess people based on what we know about language, from our knowledge of language. But what is good to us might be something very average to the other person, or what is fantastic to the other person might be just something very average. But there is a very well researched scientific way of assessing language, which forms the basis for all competitive exams. And that is what we call the CEFR. This can be expanded to term it as Common European Framework of Reference. Now, what do we see at the bottom rung? You see the basic user at the A1 and A2 level. And then we move on to B1 to B2 level. And the advanced level user or the proficient user of language is placed at C1 and C2 level language. Roughly, you can see that there are many intermediate levels in between. These might start with A1 and A2 levels, perhaps at the primary school level. And then we are supposed to have moved to B1 level by grade 6 or 7 and to the B2 level by grade 10 to 12. Unfortunately, due to different backgrounds, different levels of exposure, and the kind of models we had in the form of teachers, I'm including myself here, we are not where should we ideally be. So at college level, actually you're supposed to be a proficient or an independent user of language, which might not happen because of various reasons. Some of them could be our own complexes, our comparisons, lack of exposure. But just remember this much, moving levels up is very much possible. And the movement from one level to next level takes approximately about 190 hours of, solid work, which I don't think it's a problem. Now, to understand CEFR better, I'll just play a short 2-minute video for you. Megla, may I request you to play the video, the CEFR video?
Yeah, she is doing it,
Yes, ma'am.
Kalpana. One moment.
Okay, fine.
1 second, ma'am.
Dr. Megla, can I try it myself? Maybe if I'm not getting it, shall I request?
Yes, ma'am. Will you please try it yourself, ma'am, so that I can download?
Yeah, are you able to hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to hear, see the video?
No, ma'am, you're not sharing now.
Just give me a second. I'm sure it's, yes?
Yes, ma'am. It is getting buffering, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes, ma'am. It is visible.
It's visible.
But we can't get any audio from that particular
Oh,
link.
then I'm afraid
Could
the
you please
host
send?
can only do it,
Yeah, could you please send the
Megla.
link to me, ma'am? Just forward the link, ma'am, so that I cast that.
I've already sent you the
Video you have
video.
sent, ma'am. If I
Yeah, you want me to give the link, is it? Just give me a second.
otherwise we need to upload the file in the drive, ma'am. So it takes some time.
Okay, I'll give you the link. Just give me a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I play it on? Can I send it on Google Meet?
Mail ID,
Or do
ma'am.
you want me?
Yes, ma'am. Whatever is convenient for you, please, ma'am.
Yeah, fine. I've done it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
I think the host can only do that.
1 second, ma'am. I will pass the screen to you. What is... Yes. Am I sharing the screen to you, ma'am?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Now I'll play it.
Yeah.
Is it audible,
Yes.
ma'am?
Perfect.
Okay,
Make
ma'am.
it full screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As a language learner or teacher, you may have heard of Common European Framework of Reference, or CEFR. But what is it, and why does it matter for English language learners? It's actually pretty simple. Different learners have different levels of language ability, but opinions about your English level can be subjective. Your friends may think your English is good, but an employer might think it is not good enough, and you may be better at some skills than others. For example, you may be able to read better than you can speak. We need a clear, objective way to describe language skills that everyone can agree on. This is what the CEFR provides. The CEFR breaks down language learning into 6 levels, which it calls A1 to C2. The starting point, A1, describes a very basic language level. As a learner, you can move up the levels until you reach proficiency, C2 level. This is a really advanced level. By describing what you can do in reading, writing, speaking and listening, the CEFR will tell you where you are on the journey from beginner, A1, through to proficiency, C2. There are many Cambridge English exams available for different ages and stages of learning, all matched to CEFR levels, from young learners through to university and the workplace, or simply for travel. The CEFR was developed by the Council of Europe with extensive support from University of Cambridge ESOL examinations. People from all over the world use the CEFR to explain what level of English they are at and what level of English they need. It is used by learners, teachers, universities, governments and employers. The CEFR has been very influential, and not only in Europe. It's been published in more than 35 languages, and descriptions of individual languages have also been developed. Cambridge is a partner in the English Profile Programme, which provides very useful descriptions of English grammar and vocabulary at each level of the CEFR. Understanding your language level will help you to...
Thank you. My dear students, I hope you got a fair understanding of what the CEFR is.
That's why
Let
the
me
CEFR
demonstrate
levels
to you
are useful.
with a very basic example. Are you able to get my slides again? Can one of you confirm it for me, please?
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Yeah. So let me help you understand the differences in these levels through a small example. At an A1 level, I use very basic structure, just one subject, verb, and an object. As you see on the example in the slide, the food is good. At the B1 level, I move slightly upwards and I use an adjective. The food seems well cooked and tastes really good. I also use an adverb here and I add a congratulatory message, good job. I move one step further ahead at C1 level. The food today is really well cooked and simply tastes out of the world. You know, I brought an idiomatic language. Does not mean it comes from, another planet. It just means that it's something extraordinary and I have to give it to you. We can't take a literal meaning here. What we actually mean is I will have to compliment you for having cooked and, shared with me such good food. So I hope this gives you a fair understanding of how the language levels go up at different levels of sophistication across different levels. Now, most of us, the moment we look at the word fluency, we seem to have a lot of misconceptions about fluency. Even before we trash what is fluency, let us understand what is not fluency. What do you think fluency means to you students? Can I have your response in the chat, please? Or can you unmute and speak? Harshini, can I have your response for this? What do you think is your understanding of fluency? Yes, anybody else? I'll not be able to see the chat responses because I'm with my slides on. So if somebody can unmute and speak, I shall be more than happy. Yes, Gokul Priya? Come on, I just want a few responses.
Gokul
Ma'am,
Priya, you're online. Yes, Harshini, speak.
speaking fast, ma'am.
Okay. You think speaking fast is being fluent?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What else? Can I have the responses from others, please?
Speaking continuously
Yes?
without mistake, ma'am.
Sorry?
Speaking continuously without mistake, ma'am.
Speaking continuously without mistakes. Is that humanly possible if we happen to be a non-native speaker of English? If your mother tongue is not English, is it possible to speak without making any mistake?
Yes, ma'am, with practice.
With practice, right? We can get somewhere, if not completely there. All right. What else? What else do you think fluency means to you?
Ma'am,
Can I get the responses from other students, please?
ma'am,
Good afternoon,
Yes.
ma'am.
Good
I
afternoon.
think fluency means speaking without any lag or without
Without any lag.
with confidence, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, Gayatri, you are, but little bit louder.
Ma'am, I think fluency means speaking without any lag, ma'am. Or any drop, without any hesitation. I think, ma'am.
Ma'am, one of our student Gayatri responded that it is without lagging or without hesitation is called fluency, according to her perspective. Yes, ma'am. It is not audible, ma'am.
We can't hear you, Kalpana.
I think we have lost her.
She muted
No,
herself.
she has left and I think she will rejoin.
Achha.
Yes, ma'am.
Some network problem. You can call her.
Yes, sir. I am calling, sir. Ma'am, you left the meeting, ma'am. You please rejoin, ma'am. No, ma'am. Ma'am, no, ma'am. You please come out and rejoin, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's okay, ma'am. No problem, ma'am. No problem, ma'am. You please rejoin with us. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No problem, ma'am. No problem. Okay, ma'am. You just rejoin with us, ma'am. No problem. 2 minutes, she will come and join with us, sir. There may be some network issues, so that suddenly she left from the meeting. She's having network issue, ma'am.
She appears to have network issues, sir. She'll be joining.
Oh my God.
Okay, girls. Some of you said very good points like speaking without hesitation is good fluency.
Fluency.
Correct. What about using the right word at the right time? That is effective English. Do you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm?
But
Effective English.
we should
Ah,
have known many words right now, ma'am. We don't know that much word, ma'am.
yeah, that is right. But you don't have to use very hi-fi English to be effective. Okay.
Simple
Okay,
words.
Kalpana. Yeah, simple words, but they should be conveying the meaning you want to convey. Don't have to use
Ma'am,
hi-fi vocabulary. Yes.
ma'am, what I think is the ability to express
Hmm.
the and expressing oneself easily and the prosody also, ma'am.
Express oneself easily. Okay. Say, for instance, if you want to say something like postponing of an event, uh,
Yes, ma'am.
that can be conveyed in instead of saying postpone, we
Ma'am,
are
little bit
postponing it.
louder, ma'am.
Yeah. Suppose you want to convey a message in a circular that this is to inform that the literary society event was supposed to have been held last week, but because of never cyclone, we postponed it. Correct. It is
Yes, ma'am.
postponed to 30th November. If you write, it's a very simple English, but instead, if you convey it in a very roundabout way, say for instance, due to Niver cyclone, the Literary Society event, which was supposed to have been held on 25th November, is now we are planning to conduct it on 30th November. It's not effective in communication. Simple, direct verb usage, especially I would say active words. If you use, your message will be conveyed better
Yes, ma'am.
than
Yes, ma'am.
your than using a passive
No problem, ma'am.
voice. Okay, this is to
Oh,
inform you
okay, okay,
that
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
this literary society event is postponed to 30th November.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
It's enough.
No problem,
Okay,
ma'am. No
no
problem.
need to
This is
confuse.
unexpected, right,
Even
ma'am? So
need
you
not
please join with
mention
us.
that it was supposed to
We
have
will
been held
manage,
on
ma'am.
25th of November. Okay, so this is called effective English communication and right word at the right place. Can you give some examples for right word at the right place? Hmm? Can you give some examples? How many of you learned sir, the transformer collapsed in their end in PhD Tech. So she is making alternative arrangements. Till then, I'll engage the students
Yeah, yeah.
till she joins. Say, how many of you learnt typewriting to speed up your computer skills? Did anyone learn during um, your school days or how to type? Now, all of you are using phones, but some of you use your laptop also. No, did anyone learn typing?
Yes, ma'am. Lower alone we have learned, ma'am.
You have learned. Okay, Pooja Shri has learned. Anybody else? When you were in
Sangirani,
school?
ma'am. Sangirani have learned.
Sangirani. Okay, Sangirani learned. What is the purpose? What did you? What was your goal when you learned typing, Sangirani?
I
Speed.
want to speed up my
Yeah,
typewriting knowledge, ma'am.
typing. Only speeding. Any other accuracy? Did you think of
Mm.
accuracy? See, if you type every time wrong
Procedure,
spelling,
ma'am.
you can't even correct it. Mm.
I have thought to learn by the procedure how to type.
Yeah, the fingers, keeping the fingers
Yes, ma'am.
on the keyboards, A, F,
Letter.
G, F,
Yes, ma'am.
isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and if you do not use this procedure, you will be looking at the keyboard and typing, you will lose out on speed. Correct? Sangirani?
Yes, ma'am.
Second point is how to reach or acquire accuracy in typing. Even though now you have touch screen, but even for touch screen, if you you cannot use touch screen laptops for a long time. For a long time you are going to use your computer, say from morning 10 o'clock to evening 4:30. It's better to have a keyboard, proper keyboard. And if you precise and accuracy, accuracy means not making mistakes in
Mistake.
this context.
Mistake.
Yes, yes, not making mistakes. Sir, yes, exactly. Okay, so
Precise
Priyanka,
mean?
yeah, uh, precise means, tell me.
Ma'am, in the shortest form
Exact
possible.
exact
Yeah.
words we are using for the context exact words. That is what
Hmm.
precise means. We are
Context to the word to the
Yes.
context.
word to the context. Yes, sir.
And can English be learnt out of context? Do you? Somebody was
No,
telling
any
me in the,
language.
yeah,
Any
any
language.
language. Can you? Somebody was saying, how will you improve your vocabulary? I asked. You said I will learn 2 words from the dictionary. Will it be an effective technique to learn English vocabulary by looking at the dictionary and meaning, learning the meaning? Huh? How can you better learn it better? Because you know in English, take the word make, M-A-K-E. It has 70, 80 different meanings. Make out, make in, make up, make the bed. I'll be making it for tomorrow's party. So many different words, meanings it has. English has to be learned according to the context. So I would suggest, that day I think it was Priyanka or Varna who was saying that we can learn English by looking at the dictionary, by learning two words every day. It's not enough if you know the meaning, you have to learn to use it in the context. Varna, I think, Varna Nair. So you must learn English, contextualized English, it is called, because one word has different meanings in different contexts. Can you give some examples for that apart from make? Carry on, carry out. Do they have different meanings? Hmm? Carry on with the work, but carry out the work has different meaning. Hmm? Do you understand this, my dear girls? That English has to be learnt. You will learn better vocabulary if you read different kinds of journals or different kinds of news. If you read about cricket in the sports page, yesterday's match that India lost, you will learn all the cricket jargon, pitch, overs, mid on, mid off, wicket keeper, bowler. And if you read about, uh, or if you listen to coronavirus news, you will learn about the social distancing, mask wearing, and new normal, hybrid classes. All these different words you will learn. If you read Arthur Haley's Money, you will learn all about banking if you read that fiction book. Or if you read Chetan Bhagat's One Day at a Call Center, you will learn all about call center jargon.
Live stream, ma'am.
So it's I would suggest If you want to
Ma'am, you
improve
just
your
enter into the URL what I
English,
have sent in
you
the meet
read,
chat, ma'am.
take a newspaper.
Google's
If
meet.
you read investment section,
It's me.
every
It's
Monday
actually MRY
education plus
hyphen
comes,
X.
and a column about investment comes, how to invest your money. If you read that, you will know about
Yes,
share
ma'am. She's
market,
talking now.
mutual
But I didn't
funds.
get
You
icon.
will learn
Your
about
icon is
LIC,
disappeared.
life insurance, how to invest your
Yes, ma'am.
money in
Yes,
that.
yes, yes, ma'am. Now.
So that part of the language
Yes, ma'am.
jargon you will learn. If you read about sports, you will learn about tennis.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Philosophy books.
Just check, ma'am. Ma'am is
Philosophy
checking.
books, how many of you will read, Priyanka? Hmm?
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Ma'am,
Philosophy, you
not a big
read a
book,
book which appeals to you, Priyanka. Hmm.
not a big book, ma'am. A small book, at
Yeah.
least if I have to finish 1 or 2 pages, I have to search for at
Yeah.
least half an hour or 1 hour, ma'am, to know exact meaning of each sentence, ma'am.
Which philosophy book did you read? I would
Uh,
suggest for a teenager, you will be interested in films, books, music, or let us say fiction, modern, contemporary fiction. See, if you read about books, films, you will know about choreography, you will know what is cinematography, how direction, climax, emoting, all these words will automatically understand if you read a review of a latest movie you liked. That Surya's movie, if you want to see, Surarai Potru. It is about Deccan Airways, how that gentleman made flying accessible for
Is it
everyone.
okay for you, ma'am?
You will learn all about Surya's emoting, his
Okay, ma'am.
the way cinematography, that lady Sudha took
Okay,
the
ma'am. So the correct
cinematography,
spelling, ma'am. Yes, yes,
the
yes, ma'am.
choreography in the dance, all of you. So many words from in film direction you will know if you read a review of that movie, and you will when you look at the movie next time, you will look for these characteristics. Is she overacting or underacting? Is she this lady is uh, emoting or no? See, sometimes you can threaten a person with a very soft word. All these you will nuances you will learn if you read about it. I would suggest instead of starting with a philosophy book, if you are interested, Priyanka, please go ahead. But you start with what interests you. Sports you like, tennis you like, cricket you like. Then you can sustain it for long, Priyanka. Or if you like storybooks, if you like reading Mahabharat, by all means read it, because all of you would have watched that movie during that lockdown, serial during lockdown. Did you watch Ramayana and Mahabharat? Hmm?
yes, ma'am.
Lockdown
Yes,
time.
ma'am.
It's of eternally interesting. So I would suggest you take an English adaptation of Ramayana or Mahabharat. The story you already know. Your vocabulary about the war between the cousins. The
Yeah, Kalpana madam, I joined.
Yeah, I will stop now. Kalpana, please continue. Kalpana, over to you.
Ma'am, her microphone is not activating, ma'am. So she will take another 2 minutes, ma'am. Could you please?
Mm, I think she again
Sir,
lost
your
it.
inputs, sir.
No, that's it. Correct. And pronunciation is something which the students need to, everybody in fact, has to concentrate. Pronunciation is
Okay,
very,
ma'am.
very
Would you
important because it
continue,
makes
ma'am?
a lot of
Is it
difference.
okay for you to continue? But are you
How do
okay,
you
ma'am, to
pronounce
continue?
a word
Give over to you, ma'am.
makes a lot of difference, and
But
sometimes
your
it gives
voice
wrong
is your voice
interpretation
is low less,
also.
ma'am. It shows it's muted.
You have to listen more to improve your pronunciation.
No problem.
And as far as possible, try to develop neutral accent.
Okay, ma'am.
Vijay Amritraj's commentary, tennis commentary, or Ravi Shastri when he was commenting for cricket matches, Sunil Gavaskar, you will find that they speak in a way which can be understood all over the world. They won't have a strong native accent.
Kala ma'am called you, ma'am, but you didn't respond. That's why we thought that you may
Whose
connect with
accent do you like when you watch so many matches and
Kala ma'am is
serials?
continuing now, ma'am. Still your
Hmm?
microphone is muted, ma'am. That is what we have received from your side.
Girls, you all watch serials, no?
No, ma'am.
God of
No, ma'am.
Please
Thrones,
I'm
proceed.
actually
Game
the
of
matches,
Thrones.
ma'am.
You didn't watch?
Matches, ma'am.
Who watched it?
YouTube, ma'am.
YouTube, even you all would have had this Netflix and all that you would have watched. Wow, which other serial did you like? Korean serials, many of you watch. I heard from some girls.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you understand the English? Is it you read the subtitles and understand, or you
No, ma'am. Ma'am,
watch
subtitles,
the
ma'am.
version?
Subtitles, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Mostly
sometimes.
dubbed version. Many of you watch
Subtle.
Korean serial.
No, ma'am. Sometimes we try to catch the lines without seeing the subtitles, ma'am.
So you have picked up Korean language. Many of you told me last 3-4 years, girls tell me they are very fond of watching Korean serials.
Ma'am, sometimes American YouTube channels are also very good, ma'am.
Yeah. Which one did you like? That doctor serial, Anatomy, Grey's Anatomy. Did you see that serial? Medical hospital, what happens? Grey's Anatomy. You will understand all the medical jargon if you see that serial. The emergency rooms, arrhythmia, cardiac arrest, cardiac attack. There is a difference between the two. Endoscopy, all these words you will understand.
Kalama,
Yeah.
sorry, extremely sorry, I am back.
Please continue.
Ma'am, you continue, please. You continue, and then I'll continue after when you leave it.
I can speak to them every day, Kalpana. Please go.
Ma'am, I'm extremely sorry. There was a transformer blast.
Yeah.
In the entire apartment, we lost both electricity and the connection. Oh, I'm extremely sorry about this. This never happened in the last 1 year, almost now. Students, are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, ma'am.
First and foremost, I wish to apologize for the technical glitch from my end. We had a transformer blast just a few minutes back. That is the reason we got the entire thing connect, and I'm using my phone now to continue with it. Please excuse me. All right. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead, madam. Thank you.
Well, I was asking you, students, I was talking to you about we should understand first and foremost what is not fluency before, we even get into what is fluency, right? So some of you mentioned to me that fluency is speaking fast, and some of you told me that it's using, going non-stop. Now, some of us think that if we speak fast, we are fluent, but actually people can even mask their language deficiencies by speaking very fast or very slow, so that we can cover up our grammar and vocabulary problems comfortably. You need to be understood. That's more important in communication, and that can't happen if we speak very fast. At the same time, we should not be very slow so much so that our listeners lose patience, and wonder, okay, when is the next word going to roll out of his or her mouth? It is a moderate pace, an understandable pace. That is an ideal pace to be acknowledged as a fluent speaker. And a few others think that if I use bombastic words, high sounding words, that is fluent English. Well, we should use precise vocabulary, but that need not be bombastic and high sounding. What is the point of using big words if no one knows the meaning? The whole purpose of communication and using language becomes a failure. And some of us think that, fluency is about using long, complex sentence structures. We all learned a lot of grammar at school, compound, complex structures and stuff. But please remember that to be called a fluent speaker, our English sentences need not be marathon-like. They need not be long-winded. There are a few others, they speak so dramatically. There is not so much of content. And at the end of 1 hour speech, you really start wondering, what did the person really talk about? You might not be able to recall even a single substantial thought or an idea. That again is not fluent English. So having spoken what is not fluent English, let's look at what is fluent English. Well, we all know Shashi Tharoor, right? What is he famous for? I mean, forget about his brush with law and the kind of party he's attached to. We are not looking at that. We are looking at him only as an icon of good language. Any international forum he goes to, he never fails to, gain that kind of attention. What is he known for? Can one of you tell me?
For his language fluent in English, ma'am.
And one particular quality stands out. What is that?
The words he used.
No doubt he's a fluent speaker. He's a Harvardian and has got the education in the best of schools, right? What is he very famous for? There is one part of language that stands out,
The particular words he uses.
Right, so hit the nail on the head. He uses, very complex words. See, we all think so much so that he's known for his vocabulary. When we start using difficult words, some people even tell us, please don't talk like Shashi Tharoor, speak like an ordinary person. Right? I don't know if you've ever come across that. So he is somebody who uses complex words like, for example, Firago and mollycoddling. An ordinary person wouldn't know the meaning of these words, but we can't help admire the choice of words. Sometimes they are really long. We could even feel tired with listening. But with an international audience, it definitely commands a lot of respect. And how many of you watch this sitcom, Big Bang Theory and Little Young Sheldon? How many of you watch that? Is there anybody in the group who watches that? And nobody? Have you come across this character called our Leonard? Sheldon? No? All right. Sitcoms is one of the best ways to learn and practice your English. Time permitting, please go look at some of the excerpts on YouTube. And there is another figure, once again, forget about all their political affiliations and their brush with law. If you listen to P. Chidambaram, he might not use complicated words, but he has an amazing logic and wonderful coherence in the way he speaks. His speech would flow like a calm river. Ideas are very well connected. Words are simple, but extremely effective. He may not be using such huge words that Shashi Tharoor uses, but he speaks very logically and very, very coherently. And that is one of the hallmarks of his speech. And the last character, you all know him, Arnab. Of course, Arnab Goswami. He's not so popular for obvious reasons. But in his sober and calm moments, which is, of course, very unusual, his intonation is extremely good. He can convey sadness, happiness, criticism, disappointment, and a range of emotions through just one weapon, that is his intonation. So the point here is, fluent English is not about vocabulary. It is not merely about grammar or grammatical structures. It is not about coherence. It is not just about intonation, which is an aspect of pronunciation. It is the right mixture of vocabulary, grammar, coherence, and pronunciation. We should have a reasonably good command of vocabulary, a good knowledge of sentence structure, an awareness of aspects of pronunciation, and most importantly, speech should be logical, well connected, and flowing without any jerks. So for example, today my speech was extremely jerky because of, this disturbance with technology, right? But ideally, if I were to speak to you face to face, it must have been much more comfortable for both of us. Now, let let's explore the first aspect of fluent English, which is vocabulary. We all know that vocabulary is the vital foundation. I would say one of the foundation stones of language. And it is a very vital foundation of language. I can hear a lot of noise. Can one of you unmute from your end? Can you please unmute yourself, participants? I'm not able to trace the source of the sound though. All right. Basically, if you look at vocabulary alone, we all think, we should know almost all the words in English language to be a fluent speaker. Actually not. We should be more sensitive to certain aspects of vocabulary which would help us to become a more fluent speaker. The first thing is spoken English is basically informal in nature. Some of the words we use in spoken English might not be considered to be appropriate in formal English. Say, for example, while we speak, we say we started the meeting. We don't say we commenced the meeting, right? Similarly, when we speak, we say, please let me in. We don't say, please permit me inside the room. Let me give you another example. We don't say we terminated the contract. We say we ended the contract, right? So such words like, commenced and permitted and terminated are okay in written English, but definitely not in spoken English. Similarly, we also, instead of saying a little, we say a bit, right? And instead of saying give my regards to your parents, we say hello to your parents. And we don't say it's a pleasure to meet you. We say it's nice to meet you. We don't say, can you reserve 2 seats? We say, can you book 2 seats, right? Do you fancy going out? Such words, such informal words are, an important characteristic of spoken English. And the second important characteristic of spoken English is we use a lot of contractions. We don't say, you should not do it. I could not do it. We just say, I couldn't do it. She shouldn't do it. So contractions are also a part of spoken English. And the next important bit is we use a lot of colloquial expressions. We don't say, see, my flat is very convenient for all the shops. We say my flat is very handy for the shops. And we say most of the students are bright. What we mean by bright is intelligent, but Paul is very thick. When we say Paul is very thick, we actually mean, he's a bit of a blockhead. We also say, I'll have a word with him. These are some of the examples of contractions and colloquial expressions. You all know those words. Some of you use that. Cool, swag and words like that. Another important feature of vocabulary is awareness of collocations and connotations. Now, what do I mean by collocations? By habit in English, certain words come together. For example, we say, if the decoction in the coffee is very thick, what do we say? Can one of you give me a response? Do you say we have a heavy coffee or do you say I had a strong coffee?
Strong coffee.
Strong coffee. Say adjective that comes along with the noun coffee. But at the same time, if we had a real good lunch, what do we say? Do we say it's a strong lunch? No. Say we had
a great lunch.
A heavy lunch, right? So by habit, in English, certain words co-occur and an awareness of those collocations would help us, excel at vocabulary. And connotation is another aspect of vocabulary. By connotation, we mean the secondary meaning of a word. For example, we all know the meaning of the word school, the place where we go to study. But when we say, please don't school me all the time, what do we mean? We mean, please don't try to teach me, don't keep telling me things which I should be doing and which I shouldn't be doing. That is again an aspect of vocabulary we should be knowledgeable with. So you must have an understanding of all these aspects of vocabulary to be a fluent speaker, right? Now, coming to the next bit, we will look at the grammar aspect of fluency. We should also be equally good in in grammar. But spoken English is essentially characterized by the principle of ellipsis. What do you mean by ellipsis? When I ask you at the end of a session any questions, right? What do I actually mean? How will I put it when I have to write it down? Any questions is a contraction of, do you have any questions, right? Similarly, coming. I can ask coming, but what I actually mean is, are you coming? I simply use coming. That's what I mean by ellipsis. By ellipsis, I mean, I don't use the complete subject, the regular sentence pattern, which would be subject, verb, and object. I can simply drop the subject and the verb and the object, and still the sentence could make sense in spoken English. That's the reason instead of asking, "Are you coming?" I could still ask, "Coming," and I could still be understood. Similarly, when I say loads of things to do tomorrow, I have actually removed the subject there. I have loads of things to do tomorrow. I'm still understood. That is the speciality of this elliptical part of the grammar component of spoken English, right? There are no tight rules, there are no strict regulations. We can play around a bit and still we are excused when we speak English, but the same thing is not excusable in written English. And also in the grammar aspect of spoken English, the heads appear in the beginning. I'm sorry, I'm not able to share the slides with you, but let me read out. You say, instead of saying your sister is somebody terrific, we just invert the order and say your sister terrific she is, which is perfectly acceptable in spoken grammar. And sometimes, the tails appear at the end. He's actually weird. Robert is. We don't say Robert is actually weird, but we can simply say he is actually weird. Robert is. All these licenses. I am using a thing in the plural in purpose because spoken English gives us the relevance of, playing around a bit with grammatical structures and still being understood. All right, that is the grammar part of spoken English. And moving on to the coherence part of spoken English. See, when we speak on the spot, we can't be so coherent as in a scripted speech. In a scripted speech, it would be very linear. But in spoken English, there is a lot of toing and froing. We go back and forth, to and fro. What happens is that we move from one idea to another, then break an idea, talk about something else, and then we might want to return to the same idea. And there are certain words or phrases to indicate all this, and we call them boundary markers or, spoken discourse markers. Say, for example, when we are sitting with somebody and when we want to start a conversation, we use the word listen, right? And when we want to contradict somebody, we say actually. And when we forget to tell something, we say, by the way, I forgot to tell you this. You should go to the bank and get this done for me. When we want to highlight something in the middle of a conversation, we say, the thing here is, the point to be understood here is, at the end of the day, all that matters is things like that. So these spoken discourse markers and boundary markers are important aspects of coherence in spoken English. These expressions would help you to manage, link, and organize sentences. You see, you also use a lot of actually, though, does she, you bet, like I said earlier, all these phrases and little words are used to connect, which would otherwise be short, unconnected statements. So these profuse use of spoken discourse markers would also lend the additional layer of sophistication to your spoken English. And there is something called phrasal chunks in English. In drama rehearsals, when the actor forgets a line, he or she would shout line please. Immediately what happens, people who are on the side in the stage, they provide the dialogue. Unfortunately, in real life, there is nobody to supply the word or line for us, right? But English language is very creative that way. It has certain chunks or groups of language. We can also call them fillers that can give us the time to think. And these words come in handy when we are not able to get the right word. These words are like the word I used, I mean, kind of, sort of, by the way, as a matter of fact, etc., etc. So we can use a lot of these phrasal chunks and fillers when we speak. That is another hallmark of spoken English. And I'm touching upon a very important aspect of fluent spoken English, which is pronunciation. Now, I would want you to tell me, how would you pronounce these words? C-O-U-S-I-N. How do you pronounce the word? Can one of you unmute and pronounce the word for me?
Cousin.
Yeah, we generally use the sir sound, but it has the z sound, cousin. It's not cousin, it is cousin. All right. Similarly, how do you pronounce the word E-A-S-Y?
Easy.
Easy.
Once again, it is a z sound. It is easy, not easy. This is a problem because we use the sir from when we write Samaskritam in Tamil, we bring in that sir here. That is the whole problem. So it is actually the z sound. And how do you pronounce this word? Y-O-U-N-G?
Young.
Young. But most the millions, at least the first generation learners of English, have the problem. We end up saying young. You must have observed this if you listen to people who speak. How do you pronounce this word? V-E-G-E-T-A-B-L-E.
Vegetable.
It's vegetable. It's vegetable. It is not veggie, it's vegetable. Similarly, it is not comfortable, it is comfortable. All right. So we tend to hyperextend those vowels, which is again, we should be cautious about. How do you pronounce this? G-O-O-D-S and S-E-R-V-I-C-E-S. G-O-O-D-S. How do you pronounce that?
Goods.
It's goods.
Goods.
It's not goods. It's good. It's goods and services. All right. See, the problem is when we go to Kerala, when we are very amused when people say boy in country, or when we go to parts of North India, some people say opportunity and leisure and Orissa and places like that. And in the north, there are serious problems. And if you go to AP in the south, they say government, penno, pencilo. That's typical mother tongue coming in. In parts of Karnataka, the R is very prominent. They say the third girl in the third row. I'm talking only about the first generation learners of English and not the ones who have been convent educated, the ones who have been to public schools. See, with Tamilians, we also have a problem. We all get very upset when somebody doesn't pronounce the L in banana properly. Say, for example, if somebody says palam instead of palam, we get very fussy. But we take a lot of liberties with English language. We are quick to find fault in Tamil, but we don't have the same kind of caution with English language. So that is something we should be very cautious about. For example, the word E-X-C-I-T-E-D, how do you pronounce that?
Excited.
It's excited. But A-N-X-I-E-T-Y is anxiety. It is not anxiety. Similarly, V-E-R-S-I-O-N-S, version. It's not like whatever Rajnikant says, version 2. It's version. All right. And also, there is a difference between VET, a vet, a veterinary doctor, and WET, wet. When you say W, your lips are rounded. But when you when you say the letter V, then your upper lip, your lower lip should touch the upper teeth. That's a rule in phonetics which we should be really, aware of. But we happily take liberties with it. And how do you pronounce this? V-I-S-U-A-L.
Visual.
It's visual. The zone, the visual. Once again, how do you pronounce this word? S-T-U-D-E-N-T. This is the problem. Once again, we have this the woo coming in.
விபு நட நம்மளும் போகலாம் அவங்கள பஸ்ஸை ஏற்றி விட்டுறலாம் கடைசியில் இது லேட் ஆயிரும்